Have you ever been sitting in a crowded coffee shop, maybe a bustling Starbucks on a Tuesday morning, and instead of just enjoying your latte, your brain is processing 50 different things at once? You notice the slight change in pitch of the barista's voice when they deal with a difficult customer. You hear the hum of the espresso machine, the tapping of a laptop keyboard 3 tables away, and the subtle, anxious leg bouncing of the person sitting across from you. While everyone else seems to filter out the noise and go about their day in a state of blissful ignorance, you feel like a human antenna catching every single frequency, every subtle shift in energy, every unspoken tension in the room. It's exhausting. It feels like you are simply too aware of everything. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, reading too much into things, or that you just need to relax, you're not alone. But here's the truth. You aren't overreacting and you aren't imagining things. Your brain is literally wired to process the world differently. You are likely experiencing what psychologists call sensory processing sensitivity, often referred to as being a highly sensitive person, or HSP. And while this deep level of awareness can feel like a heavy burden, a constant buzzing static in your mind, it is actually a profound neurobiological trait. It is not a flaw. It is an evolutionary design. But let's be honest, in our modern, loud, and incredibly fast-paced world, being this aware can feel less like a superpower and more like a curse. Imagine walking into a brightly lit Target aisle. To most people, it's just a store. To you, it might be an overwhelming cascade of fluorescent lighting, overlapping background music, the chaotic clash of bright packaging, and the overlapping conversations of dozens of shoppers. Your nervous system is taking in all of this data simultaneously. You don't just see the environment, you absorb it. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the neurobiology of the highly sensitive brain. Coined by psychologist Dr. Elaine Aron, the term highly sensitive person describes roughly 15 to 20% of the population. This isn't a disorder, it is a natural variation in temperament. Brain imaging studies have shown that highly sensitive individuals have more active mirror neurons, the parts of the brain responsible for empathy and understanding the intentions of others. Furthermore, the brain's insula, which integrates sensory data and emotion, is highly reactive. This means you don't just notice more details, you process them much more deeply. Your brain is constantly asking, what does this mean? How does this connect to that? Is this safe? This is known as deep processing. It's why you can walk into a room and instantly read the vibe before a single word is spoken. It's why you can tell your friend is upset even when they are smiling and swearing they are perfectly fine. You pick up on the micro-expressions, the slight tension in their jaw, the microsecond hesitation before they answer. But there is a critical distinction we need to make here. While natural sensory processing sensitivity is an innate trait, feeling too aware can sometimes stem from something else entirely: hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is a trauma response. If you grew up in an environment where emotions were unpredictable, perhaps walking on eggshells around a volatile parent, or dealing with chronic instability, your brain learned that being hyper-aware was the only way to stay safe. You learned to constantly scan your environment for threats. You learned to read the room because misreading it could mean danger. It's crucial to separate these two experiences. Natural sensitivity feels like a deep, rich, albeit sometimes overwhelming way of taking in the world. It's the ability to be deeply moved by a piece of music or a beautiful sunset. Hypervigilance, on the other hand, feels like dread. It is an inability to turn off your radar because you are constantly bracing for impact. It's the feeling of lying in bed at 2 a.m, replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, trying to analyze every angle to ensure you didn't make a mistake. This leads us to the exhausting paradox of modern self-awareness. We live in an era that prizes emotional intelligence and self-reflection. We are encouraged to understand our triggers, to name our emotions, and to intellectualize our trauma. But for the hyper-aware person, this can become a trap. This is known as metacognition, thinking about thinking. You might be able to perfectly articulate your psychological state. You can name your attachment style, trace your anxiety back to its root cause, and explain your behavioral patterns with textbook accuracy. Yet you still feel completely stuck and emotionally drained. Why? Because all of that awareness is trapped in your head. You have intellectualized your experience, but your nervous system is still trapped in a state of high alert. You are analyzing your anxiety instead of actually feeling it and allowing your body to process it. Your brain is working overtime, but your body is still holding on to the stress. You are trying to think your way out of a feeling, and that is a battle you will never win. Think about how this manifests in your daily life. You might experience the dreaded social hangover. You go to a party or even just a busy family dinner, and for the next 2 days you feel completely depleted. It's not that you didn't enjoy yourself. It's that your brain processed 1,000 tiny interactions that everyone else ignored. You absorbed the stress of your coworker, the unspoken argument between a couple sitting nearby, and the chaotic energy of the room. By the time you get home, your cognitive battery is at absolute zero. Or consider how you communicate. For a highly sensitive person, a simple text message is never just a text message. If someone replies with a plain, "okay," instead of "okay," your brain immediately spirals into deep analysis. Are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Let me reread our entire text history for the past week to find the exact moment I ruined this relationship. You see nuance where others see nothing. And while this makes you incredibly thoughtful, it also makes you deeply susceptible to anxiety. So how do you survive and thrive when you are too aware of everything? How do you turn down the volume of the world without shutting yourself off completely? The first and most vital step is establishing aggressive boundaries with your own awareness. You must recognize that just because you can process everything doesn't mean you should. You need to learn the difference between observation and absorption. When you notice that a coworker is in a bad mood, practice saying to yourself, "I see that they are struggling, but their energy is not mine to carry." You must build an invisible protective bubble around your empathy. You can care deeply without taking the emotional weight onto your own shoulders. Second, you must shift your focus from analyzing to grounding. When you feel your mind spinning into overdrive, analyzing every detail of your environment forces your attention into your physical body. This isn't just a cliche, it is a neurological necessity. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Focus on the physical sensation of taking a slow, deep breath. By shifting your attention to raw physical sensation, you short-circuit the brain's over-analytical loop and signal to your nervous system that you are safe in the present moment. Third, prioritize low-stimulation recovery. If you are an HSP, downtime is not a luxury. It is basic maintenance for your nervous system. You need time in spaces where the lighting is soft, the sounds are minimal, and there are no emotional demands being placed on you. This isn't laziness, this is your brain processing the massive backlog of sensory data it collected throughout the day. Honor your need to retreat. A quiet room, a walk in the woods, or simply sitting in silence are essential practices for clearing the static from your mind. Finally, practice distinguishing between data and danger. When your hyper-awareness kicks in, pause and ask yourself, is what I am noticing a sign of an actual threat? Or is it just information? If your partner sighs heavily, is it because they are angry with you? Or is it just because they are tired after a long day? By labeling the input as mere information rather than an immediate threat, you calm the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and prevent a full-blown stress response. Being deeply aware of everything is undoubtedly challenging. It requires a level of self-management that most people will never understand. But I want you to remember this: your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is the source of your greatest strengths. It is the reason you are deeply empathetic, highly creative, and fiercely loyal. It is why you can connect with people on a profound level, why you notice the subtle beauty in the world, and why you care so deeply about the truth. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to grow a thicker skin. You simply need to learn how to drive this high-performance vehicle you've been given. You are a human being who feels the world in high definition, and while the colors might sometimes be blinding, it is a truly beautiful way to experience life. Protect your peace, honor your energy, and trust that your deep awareness is exactly what makes you so incredibly valuable to this world.